I'm going to talk about another film that I also saw yesterday. So yesterday I got to the AMC Burbank 16 at I got there at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I got to the AMC Burbank 16 because why? Because I went to see the Titanic 4K re-release in 3D at the Dolby Digital Theater. To me, one of the best movie theaters, at least in the Los Angeles area. And I'm, you know what? Unabashedly, I love the first Titanic movie. My first Titanic movie, there is a movie called Titanic 2, and you can watch it free on Vudu. I'm not making this up. I started watching it. There's also the movie Thumbtanic. If you really want to go down a rabbit hole, who's that guy, Steve? He does the movies with the thumbs. Remember?
Yeah. Oh.
It's just like these thumbs that have faces on it. So there's a movie called Thumbtanic, and there is an exploitation movie called Titanic 2. If you have a Vudu account, Titanic 2 is free to watch with commercials on Vudu.
Steve Odekirk.
Steve Odekirk does the thumb movies. Anyways, why did I say the first Titanic movie? Titanic was a phenomenon when it came out, and it because this movie consistently made $20 million at the box office for 6 months and claimed the number one spot, from it was like from December all the way through. Just people kept seeing it multiple times. And I was one of those people. I've always, the story of the Titanic is so tragic. I've watched so many documentaries about it. I had this like CD-ROM back in the time for the Philips CDI interactive player. No one knows what this is. It was a gaming system that was on CD-ROMs from Philips Interactive. They're the company that created the CD-ROM, the CD. When you see CD on something, like they have the license. Anyways, they had this interactive disc that told you all these facts about the Titanic. And what was interesting is you could experience the sinking of the Titanic through different people who were on the ship and how they experienced the sinking. But look, I don't have a problem with this movie. I know this movie mostly has an appeal to young women. I think what's interesting about it is your dog. I can really hear your dog with the thing.
Yeah.
Any way to put like a pillow underneath the bone, so to speak, pillow underneath
the
bone.
Let me go to my earbuds.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah.
It's just, it sounds like you're taking a cassette tape and putting it in a cassette machine. It's a weird noise. Anyways,
is that any better?
No, it's worse.
Is it? Okay.
We're fraught with technical problems today. We have no producer. We got Alan's internet is garbage. We have dogs. It's great. It's a great day, folks. It's a great day. Look, and what's interesting is the 4K version of Titanic. This movie looks better than it's ever looked, except there are a couple shots in the movie, and thankfully they're very quick shots where stuff looks very digital. There are like about 3 or 4 shots where you're like, oh, that looks like a PS2 video game graphic is what it looks like. So, and it didn't bother me because these shots are very quick. What I realized, like the success of this movie is what James Cameron did, and never bet against James Cameron. What he did is he took a typical cliched Merchant Ivory movie, where it's like, will they get married at the end? Will they get engaged? Will she engage this gentleman or that gentleman? I'm just going to mute you, Alan. So, basically what James Cameron did is he took a Merchant Ivory film that's a traditional film you've seen a million versions of, which is a sort of a Jane Austen type of story, and married it with an action movie. So you've got like this typical, like, okay, a woman who's engaged to this man who's rich, doesn't treat her well, but she meets someone who frees her spirit. Seen it before. It's happened a million times in a bunch of movies, Merchant Ivory films, Jane Austen novels. It's a type of movie. It's a genre of film, right? And I think Cameron recognized that this is very popular with women. What if I turned that story into an action movie? And that's what Titanic is. And I set it against the backdrop of the real history where these fictional characters interact with real characters in the film. You know, the unsinkable Molly Brown, who was new money. But I like this. I mean, like the lengths that James Cameron went to show the spectacle of the sinking of the ship is incredible. It really is incredible. And I haven't seen it in the theater since it originally released in the late 90s. So I really enjoyed it. And seeing it in 3D, the good thing about the 3D, it doesn't go nuts on the 3D. It's not super crazy on the 3D. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. You know, you've probably already seen the film. It's worth going back to theaters to see it again. If you're a fan, it's the best looking this movie has ever been. Make sure you go to sit at a Dolby Digital, because I think the Dolby Digital, the projection is just, it's just exceptional, incredibly bright with like, I love it. And the 3D isn't in your face, although it is a little disconcerting at times. You'll see like something is kind of in the foreground and you really feel it. It's like, but not in a like poking in your face, because Titanic was originally not shot to be 3D. So I love it unabashedly, and I don't care what the chat says.